Well, good Saturday here in the United States of America. I'm very sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We have to come out with an emergency video for the Filipino group. They have requested me to make a statement on what's happening in the Philippines from the DPWH, the Filipino-Chinese community, Procter & Gamble, which is right now about to be in shambles because of certain people. And the list goes on, but I'd like to make this very brief because, as you know, we are about to solve so many big things in America. From cancer to the budget to the spectacular abilities of the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, in finally ending the worst war in the history of the United States and probably the world, worse than World War II. And the list goes on, including the deficit. Because as you know, I am a Filipino, proudly born in Quezon City, and it is very, very sad that being accused by certain personalities in the banking industry, accusing me of something that has never been true. And they were accusing me of a medical matter. By the way, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. But I am going to become one very soon because of the medical hotel. So they were accusing me of a particular ailment of a child that had autism, I think about 35 years ago. I said I never did that. I never went to a doctor, medical doctor, and told that medical doctor to fool the woman to make the child become autistic. That is a complete total lie, which was fabricated 35 years ago. So what really happened was the child became autistic because the woman used certain drugs that resulted to the child becoming autistic. That is evidence A. Evidence B is complicated because I was telling them, well, because of my experience with baby switching, are you sure that that child is yours? Now that becomes complicated. I repeat, autism is one of the greatest disasters in the history of the United States of America. Some say because of this drug, some say because of this therapy, resulting into the child being autistic. Because based on evidence, in the Philippines and in the United States, baby switching is a fact. In other words, are you sure that that's your baby? And I have evidences to prove that. Let me go forward because we have so many things to discuss. Because the Democrats are begging me right now to solve their given issues, and the Republicans are saying, Gavin, do this quick. And I'll do it quick, ladies and gentlemen. So, moving forward, regarding the Philippines right now, what the Philippines needs to do is to solve the DPWH problem. And it is being solved right now by the great secretary, the new secretary, Vince Hizon. And Vince has to immediately put up several pumping stations, effective immediately, to be done in the next 6 months or less in the city of Manila. And that will somehow bring back life to the presidency of President BBM. And I tried calling up, by the way, to show my sincerity. Because, you know, in 1988 or 89, Tony Daza, Altenco, and I met in the house of Tony Boy Daza in, I think, Malakas Street in Quezon City. And I think that's Sikatuna Village. Forgive me for my memory, because that happened, as I said, in 1989, 1988. And I told Tony Boy Daza that in the spirit of true unification, para matigil na ang pagpapatayan sa Pilipinas, we are willing to broker the return back of now President Bongbong Marcos. And in an instant, it was done. Ni galos, ni suntok, ni isang katiting na dugo, walang nangyari. Bongbong Marcos arrived in the Philippines. And now he became president. What am I trying to say? In the spirit of statesmanship and redefining what a statesman, Filipino statesman, is all about, we can solve the flood control project first thing tomorrow morning. Through the assistance, of course, of the great architect June Palafox. It can be done. And moving to another subject matter, it is very clear that my brother, Attorney Andy Bautista, formerly Comelec chairman, is not guilty. Because I have evidence to show that Ernesto Manguna and Sid de la Cruz fucked him in the back. Part of the expression. Just like what happened to me in San Miguel Corporation. That Georgie Angeles, Bong Ledesma, the Alcantara Group stabbed me in the back, front, back, and center, together with Manny C. Mascudiana. And it's only now that they were able to find that out. That's why San Miguel stock from 106 is now down to 56. And I told that to no less than Estelito Mendoza, the Honorable Estelito Mendoza. That was in 1999, if I'm not mistaken. But ano nangyari? What happened? Ngayon, niloloko si Marco Wangco na mainit daw ang ulo ko. Punyeta. Mark, you know, ang 56, ang 106 to 56, we're talking billions of dollars lost by investors. And that's why I am now directing this video to Inigo Zobel, which I think is the largest stockholder. Ramon Ang must step down effective immediately, and I can replace him. And this I can tell you, Inigo, I can make an overnight success of the San Miguel stock back to 106. But I have to take charge, full charge. Hindi na pwede yung mga kasan of the owner. Kasan of the owner. Kaya nagkaloko-loko yan. And palagay ko, may nagkalokohan talaga dyan between you and JB Ejercito. And that's why I've told this a long time to San Miguel. If you will not professionalize everybody there, not because you know them, but because of the track record of that given executive, walang mangyayari dyan. It will never become the true San Miguel that should have been done years ago. Which is what? San Miguel should be in the 180 civilized nations of this world or more. And to Iñigo Isabel, because I know you have the largest share there, I can do this for you. Next subject matter. I would like to direct this to the whole Philippines right now, because I know that you are bleeding. Lahat ng pera nyo na wala na because of the kurakot. And the only way to do that, ladies and gentlemen, to the Filipino populace, who could have been so rich if not for the family of Ben de Rosario. Because Ben de Rosario, from 1967 to 1981, nakamaleta yan. Araw-araw, lipad sa Amerika, deposito sa Bank of America. Araw-araw, gabi-gabi, real cash, dollars. When he was Executive Vice President of the GSIS, alam ni Ayala yan. Alam ni Jaime Sumel yan. Alam ni Dandico Wangco yan. The late Dandico Wangco knows about that. And all the old rich of Manila knows about it. Araw-araw, gabi-gabi, through the Philippine Airlines. Nandun sa maleta, puro dolyar. That's why Danding, to the family of Dandico Wangco, the late Dandico Wangco, Marco Wangco, hindi niyo ako masisisi na sumigaw dito, na sumigaw. Hindi ako mainit. Malakas lang ang boses ko sapagkat talagang nakita ko itong mangyayari ulit. I would rather translate that in the next video because we are running out of time here. In basic government policies, when there is already a precedent, wala na. Mahirap na. The law is compromised because of the family of Ben de Rosario. At alam ni Brian Moynihan yan, the current CEO of Bank of America. And therefore, what I'm trying to say, that the devaluation of the Philippine peso from 8 pesos during the time of Diosdado Macapagal, right now at 58 is compromised because of what happened during that time. 8 pesos to 58. Pero sasabihin nung grupo ni Ben de Rosario, dapat siguro 8 to 28, 29, 30, 27 during that time. So from about 300% to 700%, more or less, ladies and gentlemen. That is what Ben de Rosario and his group robbed the Filipino people. And the aftermath is so terrible right now because sasabihin yung grupo ni Congressman Romualdez, Martin Romualdez, binira namang si De Rosario naman nag-umpisa niyan Sinundan ko lang yan. Very tough. That is definitely the current devastation that's happening in the Philippines. And that's why, what is the solution? A new central bank a new central bank governor by the name of Gavin Bautista can solve that. If President BBM will assign me effective immediately, that can be solved, Mr. President. It is a question of policy, not a question of revolution. It is a question of intellectual abilities to solve the revaluation of the Philippine peso. And even my own brother, former COMELEC Chairman Andy Bautista, as he said before he left for the COMELEC, the Philippines would have been a great nation if the Philippines were managed like a business, multinational, transnational corporation. And that's what I'm going to do. Because, Mr. President, if that will not be done, then obviously it's a question of time before you are removed from power. Because the Filipino people are desperate. The Filipino people are willing to be on the streets again every single day, every single night. And that happened, as you very well know, in people power during the time when you flew from the Philippines to Hawaii. So, Mr. President, it is up to you now whether to depend on a worthless central bank governor, to depend on a worthless team of economic so-called advisors that instead of helping you has exacerbated the whole situation. And just like the time when I was invited in the warm private abode of Tony Boy Daza and a good batchmate of mine, which I think you know very well, Alejandro Altenco, ang sabi ko nga, naalala ko pa noon in the spirit of unity, real unity, we must combine our forces instead of acting like children. And since we belong to the Filipino elite, it is only subject to us that we become models of unity rather than division like children. And because of the greatness of Corazon Cory Aquino, she acquiesced. And sabi ko nga, the Filipinos have been ridiculed as a sick man of Asia. But because of Cory Aquino during that time, we were the model of civilized, peaceful living, which is the essence of living, just like what happened right now between Hamas and Israel, making Allah a great God as well. Because if Allah is not a great God, this Muslim populace would have been doomed for life. But they were able to acquiesce to the Israelites in the name of civilized, peaceful living. And everybody got shocked. And up to now, we are all shocked because, again, Donald Trump did not win the most coveted Peace Prize of all time, the Nobel Peace Prize. But probably he will get it next year. Because in fairness to the Nobel Group, this just happened, yesterday? So this is what I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, to the Filipino populace at large. If Gavin Bautista will be the new central bank governor, all of these problems will be handled financially. And lahat ng mga ninakaw na 10,000 sa mga mahihirap sa ayuda ay ibabalik ng bagong central bank governor na nagngangalang Gavin o Gavino, Miguel Gerardo, Gavin for short, D. for Donato Bautista. Sapagkat ngayon, yung mga banggero sa Pilipinas ay nandito sa Oklahoma. Walang ginawa kung hindi katukan si Nancy Tubujan. Uy, ano ba nangyayari dyan kay Gavin? Pwede bang malaman? Para mga unggoy na pinagtatawanan ng mga puti dahil walang ginawa kundi kumatok kay Nancy Tubujan na ngayong esposa ko. It is so sad because we are led by these unprofessionals who cannot deliver what is needed right now by this suffering nation, which up to now is called the sick man of Asia. And I will list down all the names para maliwanag. Hindi ako nag-hallucinate daw. Loko-loko daw. Loko-loko. Sabi ko, kung loko-loko ko, bakit ka nakikinig sa akin? Kasi kumikita ka at nagnanakaw ka sa akin. Yung mga puti nga, walang ginawa, kundi katugin ako. Ano ba nga dyan? Where should we invest? What should we do? So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to end this particular sequel because we have to move on to another video for the American group, which are waiting for me, terribly waiting for me, because we have our own problems, big, tremendous problems we have in America. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is Gavin Bautista, your host at the Prosperity Channel. Thank you for watching. And I will see you soon, Philippines.